Are we ready? Sorry. You're having a conversation. Would you like to finish first? Oh, okay, right. Am I late? I'm very sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Coghlan Park Community Centre and the 2024 Horsham Local Government Election Forum being hosted by Ace Radio 3WM, MIXX FM and the Weekly Advertiser. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet this evening. I would also like to pay my respects to elders past and present, and I extend that respect to our Indigenous sisters and brothers with us here this evening and also streaming online. Welcome to our online audience. It's great to see everyone taking this opportunity to meet our candidates in this year's Horsham Rural City Council election, ask questions and be informed ahead of casting your vote. So this evening, by ward, our candidates this year are, for Green Park, Brian Basham and Dean O'Loughlin; for Horsham North, Todd Wilson, Claudia Haynell and Kathy Ross; for Kalimna, Rebecca Sluggett; for May Park, Cameron McDonald and Les Power, who unfortunately is an apology this evening, although thanks to all of the other candidates who made themselves available for us tonight. For Oatlands, Angela Munn, Dylan Hesselberg and David Bowe; for Pine Lake, Michael Bond, Ian Ross and Toby Haynes; and for Win-Win, Brian Klaus. Please welcome our candidates this evening. And please join me in welcoming our forum chair this evening, editorial director of the Weekly Advertiser, Lauren Henry.
Thank you. Hello and welcome everyone. We're very pleased to host this forum tonight and give our community an opportunity to hear from the candidates themselves. The functioning of our council has never been more important. The decisions made, the engagement with our community and the ability of our council as an organisation to operate to its highest capacity affects us all who reside in the Horsham municipality. We hope that you take this opportunity to listen, learn and ask questions of the candidates and that it helps in choosing who you vote for. We welcome 14 of the 15 candidates tonight. Les Power is an apology because he had a pre-existing engagement out of town. Thank you to all the candidates, firstly for putting up your hand to stand on council. Secondly, to making the time to attend tonight. And thirdly, for being prepared to become a councillor. It's not a job for the faint-hearted, and we wish you well. Just a reminder, the forum is being live streamed through the Weekly Advertiser Facebook page. We ask all candidates and audience members to be respectful in their questions and comments tonight. No matter what has happened in the past at council, we want the future to look bright, and we hope our newly elected councillors can work together to make that happen. Speaking of newly elected councillors, 2 wards, Kalimna and Win-Win, were uncontested at this election, meaning 2 of our candidates, Rebecca Sluggett and Brian Klaus, will be elected councillors. We thank them for being here tonight, despite not needing any votes to win. Congratulations and all the best on your journey as a councillor. This is the first time under the new ward system for Horsham, which means voting is quite different. Depending on your address, you are allocated a ward and you can only vote for candidates nominated in that ward. Voters should start to receive their ballot packs this week, so keep a lookout in the post. So now it's time to get started. The forum will run by firstly giving each candidate 2 minutes to introduce themselves and explain why they are standing for council and what their priorities are if elected. A bell will ring to let the candidates know that they have 30 seconds to go in their 2-minute allocation, and then they'll hear another bell ring at the 2-minute mark to know to finish up. After that, audience members will have an opportunity to ask questions of the candidates. Questions will be moderated to ensure they are respectful and appropriate. We ask that you state your name first and then your question. And if it's directed at one particular candidate or the candidates in a particular ward, then please outline that before starting your question. People who want to ask a question will be invited up here to sit and wait so we can file through the questions relatively quickly. Following question time, the candidates will be given 1 minute each to add anything further and conclude the night. So, first up, we have Green Park. And the first candidate invited to kick us off is Brian Basham. Go ahead.
And everyone I speak to has had enough of the councillors not working respectfully and collaboratively with each other or the community. The community now believe that their opinions do not matter. This must change to move forward, and is the reason I've nominated. For the past 6 years, I've been advocating for a more open, transparent and accountable council through my various online presences, with my current one being Brian Basham's Horsham Halo on Facebook. Through this advocacy, I have a strong understanding of the approaches and policies that have developed during the past two councils that have inhibited councillors from an honest, down-to-earth consultation and interaction. This must change to move forward, and is the reason I've nominated. I grew up in a town like Horsham, where I was actively involved in the SCS and teaching first aid. I moved to Sydney, worked in policing for 4 years before moving to Melbourne and joining the Victoria Police. At the Academy in 1990, I met, fell in love with, and finally convinced her to marry me, a lady from Horsham. We were married in the Anglican Church at the top end of Five Street. And for those who have been around long enough, we had our reception at Jacquard's, which is now the Horsham Sports and Community Centre. It closed down a year after we had our reception, so I'm not claiming anything to do with it. Part of the deal in getting married was to make Horsham our permanent home. It was the crux in which she said yes. We did that in 2016, buying some land in Bungle Alley and moving for good. Having grown up and worked elsewhere allows me to present other ideas which may be fresh and a considered perspective to the municipality. Can I just get my last program? Finally, my employment as a mental health counsellor and pub owner keeps me in touch with people on a daily life, and I bring that knowledge and experience to everything I can to council. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next we have Dean O'Loughlin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dean O'Loughlin, going for Green Park Ward, as been stipulated. I'm the son of Brian and Teresa O'Loughlin, hailing from Jacquard and Nil, respectively, and I've called Horsham home for the last 50-odd years. I am happy to work with everybody. Sorry, I'll start again. I've called Horsham at home for the last 50-odd years, and I've spent a bit of time in Melbourne working with city councils in the city, and then coming back here for the last 10 years working in community development and community services. I've worked a lot on strategic planning and government planning, and I'm hoping that that would bring to the role of councillor as well. I have some platforms that I'm really strong and passionate about, and it's mainly around providing recreational and social inclusion activities for families and community members. I think that these should be accessible and well resourced, and also safe. I've been saying that my slogan is to stay and play, and that I really want people to stick around and stay and play and utilise some of the some of the resources that we've got, but also to work on some bigger resources too going forward. And I'm hoping that I can bring that to the forum if elected. I also think that it's very important to have community consultation, and I think that that's something that I've made a living out of for the last 30 years in community services, and that's working with all communities that I work with, and I would pledge to do that even more if given the opportunity to be a city councillor. I'd also listen and advocate, and I think that's one of the things that come to mind when those sort of when I'm doing those sort of things is different things like what's happening in Green Park at the moment with down Major Mitchell Drive, and people are talking about the trees that could be planted there. I think that this is a great opportunity to talk to the community and work with community, and I'll strive to keep doing that.
Thank you, Dean. That's your 2 minutes up.
Very good. Okay. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Next we have Horsham North. We'll call on Todd Wilson.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for attending or watching online. My name is Todd Wilson, your candidate for the Horsham North Ward. I'm born and raised in Horsham on a sheep and cropping farm southwest of here. I attended both Horsham West Primary School and Horsham College, and have since settled in Sunnyside with my recently engaged partner of 14 years. Life on the land equips me with a commitment to hard work and the ability to be flexible with time for the inevitable breakdown right at the busiest moment. These skills, if I'm a councillor, enable me to work hard for the community and tackle any problems that pop up. I'm undertaking university study in law and accounting, and my studies have provided me with the knowledge and ability to understand complex documents, for instance planning reports or council budgets, as well as council policies to ensure we, whoever here is elected to our next council, follow all the prescribed rules that are in place. My reasons for nominating come from a growing concern for Horsham's future. Watching council meetings and reading agendas has led me to nominate, to get in and have a go for positive change. In order to be as well prepared for this as possible, I've completed the leadership course supplied by council, which provided an excellent skill set and instructive guidance to be a successful councillor. It also showed that a group of independent people can all come together with differing opinions and still leave as friends, and the ability to work as a team. In addition to this course, I attended numerous MAV and VEC hosted seminars and sessions for potential candidates, all of which gave me a realistic expectation of what it is to be a councillor. If elected, I want to focus on finding solutions to the community's needs, the ones that affect our ability to enjoy and be proud of where we live. While brand new infrastructure would be great for Horsham, it will lose its appeal and functionality if the surrounds were not adequately maintained, for example, if parking was an issue, if there were speed bumps and potholes, or if there was blocked drains. My community matters to me, so I pledge to actively engage and work with the community and to show up to council meetings and councillor briefings to make sure your voice is heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Next we have Claudia Haynell.
Thank you, Lauren, and hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome. I'm Councillor Claudia Haynell. As a current Horsham Rural City Councillor seeking re-election in the Horsham North Ward, I've gained valuable experience and insights over the past 4 years. My commitment to community engagement is evident through regular meetings and active participation in local events. This hands-on approach has given me a deep understanding of our community's needs and priorities. I'm dedicated to fostering economic growth and creating more job opportunities. Expanding childcare options is crucial for supporting working families and ensuring our children have the best start in life. I'll continue to advocate for improved road maintenance and infrastructure to enhance safety and connectivity. Addressing the housing crisis is a top priority, and I'll advocate to increase affordable housing options. I pledge to fight against unnecessary rate increases for residential properties. My experience on council gives me the knowledge and skills to navigate complex budgetary decisions effectively. My track record demonstrates a commitment to respectful and productive collaboration with fellow councillors and community members. I believe in fostering a positive, constructive environment that allows us to tackle challenges and seize opportunities for Horsham North. As the only Horsham North candidate with experience as a councillor, I offer a unique perspective and proven ability to navigate local government processes. My dedication to community engagement, fiscal responsibility and addressing key issues like economic growth, childcare, roads and housing makes me well equipped to lead Horsham North forward. I encourage voters to consider my experience, positive track record and vision for our community when casting their ballots. Together we can build a stronger, more prosperous Horsham North. Vote 1, Hey Now Claudia for Horsham North.
Thank you, Claudia. Next we have Kathy Ross.
Good evening, I'm Kathy Ross. I am here not just to present myself, but to make it clear what I stand for and what I can bring to this council. I have worked in high levels of state government and local government, along with my voluntary roles, all of which I have mentioned in my other statements in the Wimmera Times and the Horsham Times as well. Utilising these experiences and skills, my hope is to contribute, if elected, to bring our council area into a more contented and connected community where we can all work together. I believe that a person's character is defined by their actions, not their appearance. It's not about how we look or dress. It's about the decisions we make. Every decision must be rooted in integrity, trustworthiness and virtue. There is no place for hidden agendas or power plays. Conflicts of interest must be declared and transparency is non-negotiable. The current practice of filling out a personal interest returns form after being elected is not enough. This information should be available to the community before any vote is cast. You deserve to know who you are voting for. I have no affiliations with political parties. I am not influenced by any organisation or group. I am here to represent the community, to make decisions that serve your interests. I will be a bridge between the community and the council. I will advocate for better financial responsibility and more informed decision making because that is what this community deserves. I will endeavour to do the right thing, to do it reliably, with integrity and with a commitment to transparency. I am here because I believe in this community and I believe in change.
Thank you, Kathy. We now move on to Kalimna, where we have Rebecca Sluggett.
Welcome everybody to those online and in the room, and a big thank you to Ace Radio and the Weekly Advertiser for having us here tonight. Over the past few years, I have followed and engaged with the Council on a range of topics that I felt were important to the community. The motivation to do so and behind my decision to run for Council was my family and our community as a whole. My husband and I work hard to build a safe, comfortable and functional home for our family, and I wanted to extend to doing the same with and for the community that surrounds us. I ran for Council as I feel it's important our community have a range of candidates to choose from as their councillor. It was a bit of a shock to check the nominations when they closed to find I was unopposed. I would like everyone to know I realise the role of councillor is a great responsibility and one I will take seriously. I hope to achieve improved community engagement, budgets that are sensible and sustainable, and that our planning schemes and project plans reflect the future that you, the community, decide on. I look forward to doing my part in building a strong team with any of the candidates that you elect and making myself available to the community so I can learn what is important to you, how you would like our home to progress into the future, and what you would like me to help advocate for other levels of government for. If you or a group you're a part of would like to get to know me better, please contact me. I am more than willing to meet up for a chat, and I'm willing to answer personal questions about my background as well.
Thank you, Rebecca. Next, we have May Park candidate Cameron McDonald.
Thank you, Lauren. In 1988, I graduated from Glen Ormiston Ag College and returned to the family farm in Brimplane, where I worked in the local shearing sheds as a rouseabout. And at 22, with hard work and determination, I'd saved enough money to establish my own horse riding business. Times were tough. Just like everyone in this room, we faced many challenges and survived. The recession of 91, the millennial droughts, 3 fires, 2 floods, an equine flu, an insurance crisis, 7 COVID lockdowns, and yes, we are still riding. My disaster management skills included planning, foresight, collaboration and communication. I've written a disaster management self-help manual, attended community briefings and represented the CFA at a national trade show and have been a CFA volunteer for over 30 years. I am the past secretary of the Mine Free Wimmera Farm Inc. and Wartook Tourism Promotion Groups. I'm a member of the Horsham Historical Society and a supporter of the Wimmera Equestrian Club and the Horsham Pony Clubs, where we've sponsored many a deserving child to help find their way in life. May Park Ward includes our CBD, and I chose this ward as I believe that my experience and strengths can be best served here. My vision is to get our community back in control of our council and its finances. We need an urgent review of the shopper stopper, parking meters, wombat and zebra crossings that are proposed for the full length of Firebrae Street. Shoppers and traders need positive incentives, not penalties. We need to address traffic congestion on Nadmuck Road and progress the master plan for the skate park, leveraging off the wonderful results of the Olympics. I will advocate for shade cover and improvements to the picnic area in Bennett Road. For 35 years, Horsham has supported our business, and as a semi-retired businessman, I have a strong desire, the time and drive to pay that support forward. With my no-nonsense approach, I'm ready and excited to work with the newly elected council team. I will be a fierce advocate and positive contributor to the benefit of all our ratepayers. Please vote 1 Cam McDonald. Thank you.
Thank you, Cam. Next, we move on to Oatlands. First up, we'll have Angela Munn.
Hi. Horsham is a fantastic place to call home, but after receiving its lowest ever customer satisfaction rating, the responsibility sits squarely with the current councillor group. The community deserve to be both respected and heard. We need effective leadership, genuine community involvement, and to reduce unnecessary spending. Lessons from the recent council-run leadership course recommended by government-appointed monitor reinforce my lifelong learnings. While management skills are broadly transferable, unique considerations exist in different sectors that I have worked, such as with volunteers and in multicultural environments. This course highlighted differing leadership skills needed for effectively working together as a councillor group. The course not only reinforced my knowledge, but also laid the foundation to be part of a productive team in the role of councillor. We need a strong team with a community focus, and this course provided the tools for that teamwork and success to enable that to happen. A key concern for me is the inadequate community engagement that we've seen. We aren't reaching our potential, and so we need to be more in tune with the community. We all matter, we all have a voice that is entitled to be heard. Despite the current challenges, I believe we can turn this around because we already know that we can do better. I've long advocated for improvements in our services and outcomes, especially in Northern Horsham. However, community engagement has often fallen short. The policies are fine, however, Council must move forward beyond just information sharing to operating at higher engagement levels. Our financial position would likely be stronger had Council prioritised community input and consultation. I wish the community all the best. Ask them to consider who will lead them best through what's going to be 4 tough years. Use your choice and your voice effectively, and that's why I'm here right now. Thank you.
Next we have Dylan Hasselberg.
Good evening. Local councils exist to provide community services like waste management and maternal and child health, infrastructure including roads, parks, sports fields and other public facilities, planning and development services through land use planning and building approvals, animal control, recreation and culture, emergency management services. I'm a civil engineer by profession, and I've worked in senior management and executive roles with local councils, state government departments and the not-for-profit sector. I know this scene very well. Over the last 20 years, I've done some pretty cool stuff in collaboration with communities, political players, CEOs, board directors, and the like. I've led project teams that have designed and built major arterial and smaller local roads, and hospitals, and art galleries, and airport expansions, and landfills and sports facilities. I've been on hospital boards. I've chaired finance, audit, and risk committees. I've managed business units and budgets exceeding tens and sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars. I've engaged in advisory groups on matters including sustainable development and economic viability. I've led disaster management responses and asset renewal programs. I've developed and managed large budgets comprised of public funds, and I've successfully obtained from the state and federal government substantial funding for numerous initiatives. It is this skill set that will prove crucial in turning Horsham Rural City Council around. Add to this my genuine appreciation for people and the power of a cohesive community, and you have a candidate with the right experience, a strong teamwork ethic, an appetite for creating positive change, a leadership approach where safe dialogue is encouraged, and complete accountability and transparency. What assurance can I provide you that any of this will be of value to Horsham? My response is that the work I do demonstrates the value. And so tonight, I ask nothing more and nothing less of you than to consider when you're marking your ballot paper the prospect of giving me the job. Please allow me the opportunity to show you the amazing things that I can accomplish for you and with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. Next we have David Bow.
Good evening all. I'm David Bowe, and I'm proud to have lived in Horsham and the Oaklands ward area for 27 years. I'm running to continue making a positive impact through my community first approach, philosophy or leadership. I'd call it so many things because I believe in the community. I'm always one who's putting other people before my needs all the time, all throughout my working career. And I'm one who focuses on practical solutions, transparency and long-term sustainability. My goal is to empower our community by fostering collaboration, inclusivity, accountability and ensuring that every voice is heard and valued. Together we can build a brighter future. My approach is simple. You talk, I listen. I believe in putting community first. We face an important challenge ahead, from improving our infrastructure like roads to ensuring sustainable economic growth and strong community services. In all these matters, I believe it's critical that we consult with you, the community, every step of the way. I don't come with a personal agenda or political agenda. I'm truly independent, and my focus is on ensuring that Horsham Rural City remains a place where we all can work, live and thrive together. I'd like to say thank you to Lauren and her team at Weekly Advertiser and that for tonight, and everyone coming out to listen and to ask questions, and I'd like to just say thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and I look forward to all your questions and feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move on to Pine Lake. First up we'll have Michael Bond.
Good evening. Thank you all for turning up. My name's Michael Bond. I was born, raised and farmed at Antwerp until the late 90s when we sold and moved out to St Helens Plains where we are now. During my time at Antwerp I gained my Master Farmer's Certificate and I also became involved with the Wimmera River Catchment Management Strategy. I was on the Central Coordinating Group. We had 2 years to produce a document that was sustainable and managed the whole river system from the headwaters right through to the Terminal Lakes system. We had to deal with all the stakeholders and listen to their concerns, from irrigators, business, fisherfolk, environmentalists, people who wanted to go out and speedboat on the different water bodies. I learnt a lot during that time about negotiation, about bringing together different points of view, dealing with people with alternative points of view. There was a lot of negotiation and not so much confrontation, even though we were a very mixed group. We learnt to work together, bring everyone's points of view in, and we got there on time. We produced a document that we were all proud of, and a huge learning experience for me because I'd been on the farm until then. We had to read quite complex documents, scientific based. We got through it, and that experience I think gave me a fairly unique skill set to be able to deal with the issues that will come up in council, because it was all around this area. I know this area. I've drove around most of it most days, or have done, and I feel I would be a very valuable member of the council team. So
Thank you,
vote
Michael.
for me, please. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Ian Ross next.
Thank you. Dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, Horsham must do better. A 43% satisfaction survey is just not good enough. And for rural areas, it was 33%. When I went to school, that was a pretty bad fail. I believe council needs to get back to basics, and that is the 4 R's: roads, rates, rubbish, and recreation. With our roads, I believe we do a pretty good job with our bitumen roads we maintain. I think big roads aren't too good, but our gravel roads are the ones that let us down. Many farmers are getting bogged trying to get access to their properties and just carry out their jobs, and it's damaging their machinery and costing them a great deal in repairs to their vehicles. We must do better. We have a rural roads plan, which I believe is not being followed. Rates is quite a contentious issue at the moment in relation to the farmer rates. The worst case I heard was one farmer's rates went up by 110%, and it's so important, I believe, we get a floating differential to put the rates issue to bed. Our neighbouring municipalities have done that, and it's taken all that issue right out of the community. We don't need that angst anymore. We need to put it to bed. Rubbish, we've gone to the 4-bin system, which has had a few flexes, but it's going okay, and recreation. We have the big project at the City Oval, and I'm concerned. I think we could do better, perhaps, than what we're getting. Going from 2-storey down to 1-storey, it concerns me. A little bit about myself. I'm a farmer. I've about, how many years now? About 45 years I've been farming. I've been a director for 13 years. I was interested to hear Michael's experience with the Wimmera CMA. I was at the Girl Hopkins CMA and director there for 13 years. And also I was on the bulk entitlement process for 3 terms, I think, for the Wimmera Valley bulk entitlement as a representative from the Girl Hopkins. So I understand the environment and the crucial need for this area for water as well. I'm a first-term councillor, so the council does need some continuity going forward. We need some of the knowledge to lead us into the future. So on that basis, I ask you to support me in returning as a councillor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Welcome Toby Haynes to the microphone.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, everyone, for turning up. I'll try and be quick. So, a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Melbourne. Around 2014, my wife and I got sick of the city life. We decided to drive around Victoria and choose a town which we wanted to make the tree change for. We chose Horsham. We love the trees, the lakes, the rivers, the mountains. There's enough shops to get you in trouble or out of trouble. There's enough people to fill a sports team, but not enough that the crime rate starts to rise. We decided on a 10-acre lot in Haven. We settled there and we've never looked back. We're not a fan of driving down to Melbourne anymore. Why I'd like to run for council. I've been planning on it for a while. I want the council to work as hard for their income as we do for ours. I like the town to look nice, but I want to fix up these wasteful projects that we're seeing. I feel the council has lost sight of what's important to the community. Look, I'll be honest, why vote for me? I'm not the real farmer type. I do shoot flies like a city boy at a stockyard, but I have neighbours that are farmers, friends that are farmers, workmates, relatives. There's already other councillors that are already going to be farmers. I plan on working with the farming community, the sports community, small and big businesses, residential ratepayers, the health and wellbeing support services we have here. But I can also bring the business skills currently missing from the council. Down in Melbourne, I worked in the corporate arm of Victoria Police. We worked on some very big projects. Some of them I was crucial to, some of them I just did finishing touches on, but I can bring the experience, project management, the long-term cost-benefit analysis, change management, stakeholder engagement, managing conflicts of interest. I'm not interested in having another self-serving council handicap this town. I'm honest and open. I work hard and smart to achieve the best outcomes for everyone involved. Thank you all for listening and for coming tonight.
Thank you, Toby. Lastly, we have the candidate for Win-Win, Brian Klaus.
Thanks, everyone. I'm Brian Klaus. I'm a Nattymuck broadacre sheep and cropping farmer. What am I going to bring to council? Well, I've actually had a lot to do in our local community. This is a bit about what I've actually done. I spent 3 years on the Nattymuck Kindergarten Committee. I've done 13 years, 4 as President, the Nattymuck Primary School Council. I've done 17 years, 10 as President, the Nattymuck Foreshore Committee. 6 years, 4 as Treasurer for the Nattymuck Field and Game Club. I'm also on the Nattymuck Cemetery Trust, Nattymuck Lions Club, and I also have participated in the Rural Roads Network Plan with Horsham Rural City Council, and I've been a member of the Nattymuck Economic and Social Plan. I feel this has actually given me a lot of experience to step into this role. I would have actually liked someone else to stand against me, but they didn't, so that's where we are. I also, along with numerous others here, did the leadership course, which I'd highly recommend to anyone thinking of having a crack at council. It was very good and took a lot away from it. What I'd like to see the councillors getting back into the community, especially sitting in on community reference groups to ensure the information is actually returning back to council correct. The rural roads, there needs to be a lot done with them. The trees, the gravel roads, table drains. We must look into the rural roads. We need more. There needs to be more funding. We also need to have a fair and equitable rating system that's fair for the whole community, and that doesn't target one sector of the community. It's just mandatory that it's mandatory that we actually encourage the agriculture sector, because that's the lifeblood of Horsham. That's where the wealth of Horsham is coming from, is the agricultural sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next, we'll open it up to the audience for questions. Anyone wanting to come up and ask a question is invited to come up here and wait so you can come to the lectern and ask your question. A reminder that you need to state your name first and then your question and who it's directed to, whether it be an individual candidate or candidates from a particular ward. I'll kick off the questions. Firstly, I ask each of the candidates to answer if they're a member of a political party, and if so, which one?
You ready? Yeah. I've already answered that. I have no affiliation with any political party and never have in my life.
Same, as per my electoral statement, not aligned to any political party.
And no political party affiliation or alliance here at all either.
No, not a member of any political party and never have been. Thank you.
I'm not a member of any political party. I was a member of the National Party some 30 years ago and resigned because I wasn't happy with what was happening. Thank you.
No political party affiliation for me and no plans to be one ever.
Same here. No affiliations, no political party.
Never have and never will be a part of any political party.
Same here. No affiliation, 100% independent. Thank you.
As well, independent, no affiliations.
What they said.
Same for me, no affiliations or member of a party.
Yeah, no, certainly not from me.
No political parties, no allegiances, no self-interest groups, nothing.
My name's Philip Chalker. I used to be an ACCC Federal Inspector. I want to ask a couple of questions. I'll ask one question, I'll go back and ask the questions at a time. I've got 5 questions here. First, I want to know, when you get in, like the council, normally everything goes down the riverbank. If the councillors what I mean goes down a riverbank, all the money seems to go towards the riverbank, right? When you get voted in, can the money be distributed equal around all the wards? I want an answer from every council, please.
Most certainly. Yes.
Yeah, I certainly would be advocating for more money to be spent elsewhere in the community. I think a lot of you know my thoughts on the stage and, yeah, some of the stuff that's going on in the city to river.
I agree. It could definitely be better spent elsewhere. There's been a well of money go down towards the river, and some other parts of town are suffering because of it.
No. I've been banging on about this for years. I don't understand why we spend so much money down there when tourist meccas like Nattymark, out where Cam's horse riding facility, all of those areas seem to be neglected. Dadsville's Bridge, 100% agree that it should be spread around. Needs to be everywhere.
I was lucky enough to professionally be part of the health and wellbeing plan that is enacted now by the City Council, and I was advocating even then around accessibility and resources to be distributed throughout the municipality, not just in one place.
Phil, thank you for your question. The short answer is yes. A slightly lengthier response is that a budget is constructed on a needs basis typically, but from what I understand from the question, it sounds like there certainly is a need. Various factors are taken into account, including but not limited to a cost-benefit ratio, but I add to this that Horsham is a spectacular spot. The fact of the matter is we're the most populous city within the Wimmera, and we're the 11th most populated within Victoria. We bolster the Victorian economy, and the reality of the situation is that there's no real reason we cannot be squeezing a little bit more money from the state and federal government, which in turn, of course, would allow for further funds to be distributed evenly, or more closely to evenly. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'd like to sort of see more funding from the state and federal to enhance the different things in our community, because all the different funding, there's so many different types of funding that we can apply for, and they come up at various stages where the staff do apply for a grant, and that sometimes we're unsuccessful and sometimes we are, and I feel that I'd love to see more funding going to some of the smaller projects like the parks, and that there's so many I know in Oaklands that needs to be upgraded, better play equipment, and I'd love to sort of see the underpass, because the two that we have are not disability so for wheelchairs accessible, and there's a lot of funding that we can surely apply for, and it's just and I'd love to sort of see the funding spread right across, and like the next council might decide to sort of pause the river program, because that is actually a 20-year program, so that doesn't need to be done all in. And I'm getting the...
Thank you, David.
Yep, sorry, Lauren.
Thank you. Look, there's a bit of an unwritten rule that whenever you step into a new leadership role, you don't make any wild changes up first, and that basically means you do your homework before you make any changes. That's probably as about as detailed as I can get on that, other than to say that I do find it interesting that there is so much money that has been spent down there. Thank you.
So there will obviously be some projects that are part way through that, or the likes of the 4.8 million grant that's been applied for recently, that we may be beholden to finish up. But for me, I would absolutely like to see a cost-benefit analysis and a good map showing where we're lacking in parks. I know, especially around the Horsham North area, there is a huge density of people, but there's not really any public spaces that are fit for purpose.
Thanks, Beck. They're simple in the sense that it takes a while to turn the Titanic around. We will have, as a council, contracts we have to honour, but there needs to be an immediate review of the budget to review what we're doing. I actually brought the annual report along tonight, because we have last year $5.1 million deficit, and next year, in what was described as a responsible budget, we have a $6 million deficit. Our reserves are gone, so there's no good news there. But we must do better. We need more parks in North Horsham, which I've supported as a councillor. We need green space. Our mental health is tied up with having quality areas for families to play. And the City of the River, I think, has had to focus for too long and drawn so much resources from council. For example, the meeting place has cost over $1 million. That's $1,000 a square metre. I don't think that's value for money. We must have, I believe, an audit of the City of the River and just have a review of the program. You can't just say snap bang, you can't do it, but we have to have logical reasons with cost-benefit analysis. We are the smallest rural city in the state, but we also support, I think, 6 municipalities around us for sporting facilities. We should be able to get much better funding than we do, because we support 6 other municipalities with a small population. We have to do better at advocating for this municipality. Thank you.
So in answer to your question, Philip, yes, but however, I'm just one councillor. So when we vote on things in council, we have to rely on other councillors also wanting to do the same. So regardless of what's happened in previous or existing council or future councils, we always have to remember that whilst one person might want to do that, you also have to rely on the votes of the other colleague councillors, okay? Okay, that was my next question. Phil, whereabouts are you living? Which ward is it? Horsham North? Well done, because I'll be advocating for more facilities in Horsham North. Well done.
I would like to echo every single thing that Ian Ross said. I thought it was really good. I'd also just let you know, for about the last over 10 years, I have been advocating for Horsham North. I've been involved in everything and pushing to get what I can. I'm standing for Oatlands because for me it represents the most complete part of Horsham North as it was. It's changed into across to the river. Horsham North now goes across to the river, and so I wanted to stay and represent the people that I've been fighting for the last 10 years. So I will continue to do that, and I will continue to work with the other councillors, and we will make sure that we do things as responsibly as we can.
Philip, I'm with you, and I would encourage every person in this room to go and have a look at the 23-24 financials from the last council budget, and you will be equally as horrified as I am. I'm going through it line by line, and they started the year last year with $6 million up. Now they're $5 million in the red. That's looking like going, as long with Ian said, further $6 million next year and up to $20 million in 4 years' time in the red. So along with state government, we're going to get less money from them going forward. $30 million comes from rates, roughly $30 million from grants. You're not likely to see the grants as much because they're broke and they're looking for savings. So we are really going to have to look very carefully at where money is spent, and I totally agree with you. We need to be far more accountable, and it needs to represent value for money.
Hi. Thank you, Philip, for your question. I think we need to be very careful, as we all represent a ward here, that we don't have division between one ward and another, that we're not looking at the whole municipality. The Local Government Act requires us to represent our ward, but we all need to bring the priorities of our ward to the whole council, and within that council we need to work through spending money within each one of those wards so that everybody's needs are met within the whole municipality. And then we need to look at our budget, we need to look at where we're getting the money from and the grants that we get, so that everybody's needs are being met. And we've got to make sure that we all work together.
Yeah, my name's Douglas Mitchell. I've got a few concerns. I'd like all the candidates to answer a question. One of the questions is, when you drive up the main street of Horsham, you get to the Capitol, you got a roundabout there, you go through that, you go up, you got stoplights, then you got a wombat crossing in front of the farmhouse, and you go up in front of the post office, you've got another wombat crossing. I just want to know all your thoughts on these. I'll just read something out. Can I stop in a roundabout? In a roundabout may slow down so that the safe gap becomes more obvious to the drivers who want to enter a roundabout. However, they should not stop. I've been a driving instructor for over 20 years with the Fire Brigade, and one of the things we were taught, you don't stop in a roundabout, and whoever put the roundabouts in with the wombat crossings, they've made it illegal for so many people driving through, and it's just confusing. The sooner they're gone, the better. So if you can all answer what your thoughts are on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that on? Yep. I've actually done a little bit of research on that, and I have looked up the traffic law, the federal traffic law, and a roundabout is considered an intersection, and you are not to block an intersection, and under the Victorian law there's a $172 fine if you block an intersection. So it'd be interesting to see a little bit more of some legal legwork done on that to see if it is, if they should be as they are. I've also had an experience going over one of the bumps, and you go over the bump and then you launch yourself from the car into the white crossing, and for learners that's going to be really difficult for them to be able to monitor those and to learn how to drive with them. So it'll be interesting to do a little bit more research on those, but as far as what I believe, I'm not too sure that they're achieving much at all in our town.
Very good question. I spent an hour talking to John Martin about this very subject and asked him how did he come to the decision to put these things in, and he said it was actually his decision alone, no consultation, no nothing. I said, well, let this be a lesson to you because you're going to get a fair bit of pushback on it. Going forward, we do need to choose a very, very good CEO that will be in control of these line directors to make sure they are making the right decisions. And the difference with the ward system is you'll be representing your community, and as council, we can take those concerns to the council. So I'm hoping to reverse what's going on, not council dictating to you what you're going to get, because guess what? That's just the trial. Those wombat crossings and zebra crossings are proposed for the entire street. $250,000 grant from the state government. It's not actually council money going into it, but what a waste of money. It's still our taxpayers' money. That has to stop.
I'm all up for a review of the wombat crossings as they are. I can't promise anything. I'm one person, but I am certainly in favour of a review of them. I don't think that they're good for the city. I don't.
Thanks for your question. No, I don't think they're safe. However, they were just to the best of my knowledge, they were just a trial. So let's see what we can do and work with that going forward. But again, I would just be one of 7 councillors. So you have to make sure that everyone's, this is how it works. 1 or 2 might be okay, but you've got to have the majority. So, but I'm with you. Cheers.
Thanks. My concern is the drivers in Horsham have been historically polite, and the Waterville experience was that the fight to get through a roundabout meant that people became aggressive of driving, and it changed the atmosphere of walking across the street because the pedestrians had right of way. And I think we're much better off without them. Perhaps one at the post office in the main street, and that's it. That's my personal perspective. My understanding was we got a $2 million grant for road safety. It was given to council, and I believe the community consultation didn't occur as it should. And I asked the question at a briefing. I believe it was illegal to hold up the traffic inside a roundabout, and I was told that pedestrian safety takes precedence, so you can jam a roundabout up for pedestrians. That's what I was told was a legal standing on it. But we need to have a strong review on that, and it's up to the councillors because it's over the CEO's, and what's the word? Delegation of authority. Thanks, delegation of authority. So this is a decision for council laws. So choose the councillors who are prepared to make a tough decision. Thank you.
Personally, I don't like them. I'm concerned that we've designed our visitor information centre so that a lot of caravans and trailers have to go down the main street. They certainly don't make it easier to do that. I like our current setup of our main street where we've got the pedestrian refuge in the middle, and I think that negates any need to have pedestrian crossings. But I will also be looking forward to seeing what the community has recently provided feedback for this very thing, and obviously I'll make any decisions in council based on that feedback.
Thank you for the question. When I worked in VicPol down in Melbourne, I worked under the Road Policing Command, so I absolutely echo your sentiments about the legality and the logic or lack of logic for them. My general thought and consensus with this is I've seen other communities where they've tried to encourage pedestrian traffic by hindering car traffic when quite often it gets scrapped because they eventually realise that what brings the pedestrian traffic into town is the cars. If you block the cars, the pedestrians aren't there. Thank you.
Yep. So I'm one who's, because I've sat and had a top of your cheeky pot, so I've watched plenty of people navigating the whether a driver or a pedestrian through the roundabout crossing because I don't like the one around the roundabout because I think it's a safety risk. We need to ensure that the infrastructure changes, especially around the traffic, are based on clear and safe data and involves community consultation. I just don't like the roundabout crossings. I believe there should be some mid crossings, but not the big one in front of the town hall, because the information centre should be back down at City Oval where it was. And and even the one that's in Robert's Place, that short one, needs to be lit up better at night. I've tried to ask and ask, and people still go through that 100 miles an hour because they're trying to get to the lights. And even before I got onto council, I almost got run over and been almost run over going through there and seen other people get almost killed. Thanks.
That's a really great question. Now, in response, I don't necessarily have a personal view as such, and that's probably because I drive like I'm driving Miss Daisy. But as a chartered professional engineer, as an engineer who appears on the National Professional Engineers Register, and as a fellow of the Institute of Engineers Australia, the onus absolutely would fall to me. In fact, as an individual professional, there would be a mandate that if there was a fair and reasonable belief that in respect to documentation like the Transport and Road Users Manual, the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, the Australian Design Standards, etc., and I could rattle off a whole list. If there is a fair and reasonable belief that any feature on our road network poses a safety issue to road users or pedestrians, that it must be reviewed. And I could not turn away from that in the position of councillor. An internal review with a team of engineers within the Infrastructure Directorate under John Martin wouldn't be a big deal, and it wouldn't even cost a lot of money, and an external review wouldn't be a major biggie either. So if it is a fair and reasonable community concern, I believe that we should see to it that a review is undertaken.
Yeah, I agree too. I think this is an example of maybe due diligence hasn't been followed through this, and again, a lack of community consultation around what the municipality and the people within it want. I don't think the council's got a place to be righteous and just make decisions for us. I think they have to make it with us, and they need to inform us of their decisions, and we can have a say in that. So I'd advocate for that. And this is another example where we need to be working with community. If the councillors and the operations need to work with community, and we need to work hand in hand, not just one day these sort of things turn up and and then we do a consultation after it, because that's just putting the cart before the horse.
Nerd alert. I spent 7 years at the Police Academy as a law instructor, 6 years, sorry, and all of that was in road policing. I'm married to a former highway patrol, so I know road policing really well. You can stop in a roundabout. That's the purpose of a roundabout. Should you stop in a roundabout? No. In terms of the placement of the Wombat crossings, there is no logic to why they were put there. In actual fact, there is no data, and I'll tell you why I know that, to support their placement. Because being a nerd and being a trained analyst in VicPol, I went through all the TAC data, I went through all the traffic data, and I went through the local police data. And there is no call for those Wombat crossings to be placed there or anywhere in our city. And all the accidents where they have occurred, ironically, in that very roundabout that you mentioned, is where probably 2 of the 9 collisions I found on TAC. So I'm 100% think that they really need revisiting. I've never understood the logic. The business I own's in Warwick-Nabil. If you want to see how Wombat crossings are done, go to Scott Street, Warwick-Nabil, and see how they're put in there. They're
Thank you, Brian.
wonderful.
Living in Sunnyside, I always used to come down McLaughlin Street to go shopping, and now I avoid it. I feel like a lot of people do the same thing, and businesses up the main street are suffering for it because I don't want to go over them, so I tend to avoid those streets. So personally, I think that that's not a good idea, and we should look into removing them or fixing them to make them better somehow.
Yeah, I'm also not in favour of them. Just another little slant on in the supermarket. Well, a few times I go to the supermarket a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to a lady in there, and she mentioned about the Wombat crossings. Now, and excuse me if I've got this wrong, but I think it's the Wimmera Hot Rod Club. They have a drive-in that comes to Horsham, and I've actually seen it before, and there's, I don't know, there could be 50, 60 cars. Well, they're talking about not being able to come up the street because they can't get their cars down the street. Now, that's actually going to cost businesses money too. So I think there's also the economic side, and they're actually a user that should be taken into account in this equation too. Thank you.
It's a trial. Get onto your councillor when the trial puts out requests and say you don't want them. You don't stop on a roundabout, and I see it constantly, people stopping on the roundabout because no one's sure what's going on. So get onto your councillor, whoever they may be, and say, we want them gone.
Vanessa O'Loughlin, Wimmera Southern Mallee Len. Thank you firstly for nominating and representing our community. I've just got a question for those in the contested wards. As a rural community, our young people face unique challenges, from limited access to career training opportunities to mental health and social isolation. I'd like to know where you see council's role in this and how you will advocate for young people in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Gives me a chance to get onto something that I'm more than a little bit passionate about. Horsham is a great place, and there are a lot of things that council can advocate for. Green spaces is one of them. Greater access to mental health and the issue with domestic violence and things like that. There is the orange door, but that's not widely advertised. A lot of people don't even know that it exists, let alone what it is. We need to get onto mental health because it's an ever-evolving and a sadly increasing issue with isolation, especially in rural areas. Council needs to get stuck into the relevant authorities. We can enter into partnerships with other authorities. There is a lot we can do in this space, and we really need to do things in this space because people are suffering. And we're here for the benefit of all. So,
thank you, Michael.
Being on the land, I've seen some people suffer through this, and there tends to be nothing out there. And some of the companies say, well, we can't get into town. We can't set up somewhere. I've looked at some of council's old existing assets and thinking, well, why can we not utilise them better and let people go into the old rural halls, set up for a day. They don't have to get charged for it maybe. Systems like that, and give everyone a chance to use those services provided.
I think there's certainly a role for council in young people. I mean, at last election before Ruha took over the town hall, and I hope I pronounced that right, I actually advocated that council took that over and turned it into a training, hospitality management training facility, but then it got leased out. Dealing with mental health is what I do at the beginning part of the week. I think council would be better off going to partnerships with groups like yourself, because that's where your expertise is going to lie. The one thing I noticed when I got out here, we don't have a youth worker. Every council I worked with in the city as a police officer had a dedicated youth officer. So there are avenues that could be explored. I'd want to see what's specifically there before I commit to anything, but certainly helping the youth also keeps them here, because our town's ageing, so we need to keep them here as well.
I think when we're talking youth and the youth services that we need to advocate for, it needs to be youth-led. I think they need to be heard, and they need to be consulted for what they want. The youth strategy that the council's got at the moment was developed in 2018. It's a 10-year strategy. I think that's been ambitious to have that open for 10 years. The people that were consulted within that, would be in their early 20s now. So I think that it needs to be ever consulted with young people. I think council has got some roles in that, young leaders groups, young councillors, have a say. We've got a great hub at the Kalkee hub where we've got our youth workers there, and I think that if we've got a revolving door for young people to be able to talk with council workers and the operational staff, but also with the councillors, and have a bit of a voice of what they need and want in their own municipality.
Thank you so much for this question. I really love the question, because notwithstanding my hard technical background in the engineering and the sciences, in my current role as the head of the project management office for the Salvation Army, youth and youth services, amongst other services that protect the most vulnerable within our community, are absolutely dear to my heart. And to read the Salvation Army annual report is just such a beautiful thing, to see the good work that they do. The remit of a local government is reasonably clear, although something like this still sits in a somewhat grey area. Despite this, there is absolutely nothing precluding a local government from advocating a little bit more loudly and partnering and collaborating with our friends in the state and federal government, whose remit this does fall within, to ensure that more appropriate services are brought to Horsham. I'll add very, very quickly on the note of partnering and collaboration that in fact this too is something dear to my heart, so much so that my opponent in Oatlands Ward, David Bowe, and I have partnered in a sense in that we will be outside the Wawuna Milk Bar on the 17th of October. We'll be there for 3 sittings, smoko, lunchtime and afternoon tea. Come and see us if you live in the Oatlands Ward and have a chat. I'm all about collaboration. The third Oatlands Ward candidate was also invited but neglected to accept for whatever reason. Hope to see you there on Thursday.
You might need to put a timer on me, Lauren, for this, because, youth is, and Dean, my youth background. I would love to sort of see a program and council sort of maybe even for some of the older residents, because it's to have a bus going out to the different communities and to bring them into town for the different activities, because I know when the Nexus Youth Centre ran a music event, we used to have a lot of people come from all the different smaller communities, and they really enjoyed it. And I remember when we took some music events to the other smaller communities, they really loved it. I would love to sort of see the station maybe do that, go and reach out to the smaller communities and see what the other community services are doing in relation to youth, because I believe that a youth bus was, or youth truck was done by Women United Care or somebody many years ago, and that sort of fell through the cracks. So I'll better pass on because I can see the bell ringing.
Thank you. Look, working in a secondary school, these are the kind of things that I see on a daily basis. And the individual cases that are just going through my head right now can be absolutely heartbreaking. It's definitely a longer than a 1-minute question. There are so many good ideas already out there, ideas that don't take much effort or much money, they just need to be fostered. The council is in a position to provide services that are already there. It's really not a great deal of effort. It's just a little bit of work, a little bit of effort to foster these great ideas and just bring them to light. These individuals, you know, could really benefit from just a little bit of effort. They just light up from the smallest little things. Sorry. Thank you.
Thanks, Beck. I'll stick my neck out here. Look, it's not council's remit, but we have a strong role in advocating and partnershiping with our health sector to get more funds and attention to regional Victoria and Horsham. We have problems. We have a high youth suicide rate, and it breaks my heart. We have a serious ice problem in town. The sewage is analysed, and we know that from that. And there's a high teenage pregnancy rate in Horsham as well. And if we can have better facilities and engage our children better, we offer a better future for them. And it's so important. While it's not council's remit, there's so much we could do in the advocacy role in making this a better place for youth. Thank you.
Wow, great question, Vanessa. I love engaging with our youth. Just fantastic, I love it. I was up putting my signs actually just the other day, and I met 3 teenagers walking their puppy dogs that are going to school in Horsham North. And I said, oh, lovely to meet you. And they were so vibrant and so positive. And I said, well, what would you love for Horsham North, for your community? And the girls said they want little hangout places. There's nowhere for them to go. The boys had the skate park on the other side of town. They wanted their sporting facilities here in Horsham North, not the other side of town. And they want them to be accessible, and they want them to be able to walk there and feel safe to do so. So, and also as councillors, it's part of our legislation to make our decisions for future generations. So our youth are our future generations. They're so important. It's hard to engage with them. I mean, I have just most Wednesdays I have a forum for community engagement, 10 o'clock usually on a Wednesday. At the moment it's Dooran Road Milk Bar, it's Horsham North. But these are really small things that we can do to engage with our community. I've seen some young mums turn up there and tell me about their situations. If I was going to be hopefully elected into the new council going forward, I echo the sentiments of my fellow candidates in that there are some very small things we can do. Yes, we need to advocate for more money, state and federal.
Thank you, Claudia.
But some small things, march for men and walk for women. March for men on a Saturday evening where we walk and then we finish up at a venue somewhere and walk for women on a Sunday. 2 very, very small things that we can do for our men and women. Thank you.
I'm 64 years old. My kids are middle-aged. I don't have grandchildren. I am not in touch totally, Vanessa, with what's happening. However, I am more than happy. I've spoken in here and said every voice should be heard. I believe that, and there is no reason that our young people can't be heard, and there's no reason that the people who are looking after them, like yourself, can't be involved. And I think that we should advocate for that sector of the community just as we do for anybody else in there. Subject matter experts, we need to listen to you and to people like you, and we will be working with other experts and knowledgeable people. Many of them have already spoken, and I am more than happy to be part of that and to advocate for the kids and the kids to come in the future. One last thing, I was invited to the Oatlands ward. My response to that is, when was the last time that you saw the Liberal Party, the Labor Party and the Greens all together campaigning together?
Thank you.
Just quickly, there is a role for schools to play in after-school activities. Back in our day, we had social services, and we were encouraged to go and mow people's lawns and get involved. The kids then learnt lots of really good skills from the elderly people, so that interaction could be very important. As a corporate, we sponsor kids into the pony club scene. Not one pony club kid has ever been to jail. That's a fact. So get them into pony club, boys and girls. Lots of things that corporates could do, lots of things that schools could do. It doesn't need to cost much money.
Thanks, Vanessa. Yes, I was going to reiterate that mental health and youth education is primarily under the state, and I understand mental health and youth education. We've had to send our 2 children away when they were younger down to Melbourne because that's where they had to go. And that's not easy. That's really hard when you let go of them that way. And it's hard on them. And mental health, yes, I do personally understand that. But within local government parameters, we need to work possibly with our local groups and encourage social outlets and programs on a local level that we're able to do from a local government to be able to provide something for our youth in those areas of mental health, and even understanding what they can do for their education. If possible, we can work with those departments.
Thanks, Lauren. I've just got a question about council meetings. I'd like to ask the existing candidates separately to the nominees that haven't been on council. So asking all the existing candidates, all the existing councillors who are candidates for re-election, have you attended all the council meetings in 23-24? Because I'm big on commitment, and you can't commit to represent us if you're not in the chamber. So if each of you could announce, just say if you attended all the council meetings, if not, how many, please? Yes, so this is just for the councillors first.
Oh. Is it on? It's on. Okay, thank you, Di, for the question. And as an ex-councillor yourself, you would know it's not possible to attend every meeting. However, as councillors, you know, there was some that even didn't attend our last meeting, so it's not possible to obviously physically attend all council meetings. However, I would say that, and yes, obviously meetings are part of our role, but it clearly states that the role of a councillor includes making decisions on behalf of the community, setting strategic direction, and overseeing the budget. So while meetings are part of the role, they are not the critical part of the role, or not the only part of the role. So I don't have all the data in front of me, but I do my best in my councillor role. Thank you.
From the others, if I could just have how many you've attended, please.
Thanks, Di. Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I ticked in the box more than 75%, but I know I missed one, and I missed the last one because there was only one agenda item. And
Thank you.
Yeah. So I missed two. Yep. So that's out of about 14 or 15, I think. Thank you.
I've attended every council meeting, and I've, except for one briefing, other than that, the only reason for that was I was attending my Auntie Ellen's funeral in June last year. Thanks.
Thank you. Yep. And if I could ask the nominees, please, if you've attended any council meetings in the last 6 months with your attendance, with your plan to be elected, so this is just for the ones that haven't been councillors. If you've attended any council meetings in person, not just watch them online, so that, because you need to be aware of how it works. Thank you.
Yes, I did one recently. That was about the budget, I think it was, yes, and I understand fully how council works and the process and the requirements of what being a councillor is, and your obligations and your understanding of and the limitations of how you're meant to behave under all the Local Government Act, the governance rules, the Councillor Code of Conduct, and all the other requirements that you need to know before you actually address issues, council meetings, etc.
I've attended, I think, about 6 meetings since about May or before May, and I do encourage ratepayers to get to at least 1 or 2 council meetings a year, and maybe needs to be some incentive to actually turn up to a council meeting. I have been somewhat shocked by what I've seen.
I think I've missed one council meeting maybe for the whole year. I've attended most of the meetings that have happened, and it's part of the reason I'm standing now, disappointment.
I'd just like to make one comment as a current sitting councillor.
The question wasn't to
But it's a very
councillors,
important
please.
one, that actually participating in a council
pass it
meeting
on
and
to
just
Rebecca,
listening are
please.
two very different things. Thank you.
Yes, I have attended. I know it's at least 4, but I believe there's more. I've definitely watched the ones that I wasn't in person online.
I haven't attended any in person, but 2 online.
I haven't attended any in person in the last 6 months, notwithstanding this, having worked in senior roles in local government, very familiar with the machinery of government and the mechanism in council chambers. So should be just fine in that space.
Just the last one I attended and a few online just before that.
I honestly don't know. I know I've been to quite a few, but I also stopped going because I found it very, very hard to bite my tongue. And I felt it was safer to watch it online and yell at my computer than be thrown out by the mayor.
I've attended in person everyone for the last 3 or 4 months, and I've watched them online preceding that.
I think I've attended in person probably 3 out of the last 5, and the 2 I missed was because I had another committee meeting on that same night.
I have not attended any. I wanted to come in with no prejudging. I wanted to come in with a clean slate, and I deliberately did not go to or watch any council meetings.
Thank you, Michael. This is the final question of the night, and it's just directed at one particular candidate.
No, definitely not. This was for the candidates in the May Park Ward, but seeing as Cam's the only one that's turned up, this is the problem. Traffic and student movement on the south and west boundaries of the West Primary School at drop-off and pick-up is chaotic and dangerous. Cars park in the paddock on the west boundary of the school. During wet weather, as vehicles leave the paddock, they deposit mud and debris in Kerwood Street and Kooyong Streets. Kooyong, Kerwood and Mathura Streets have no school or pedestrian crossings and pose a real danger to children as young as 6 and 7 trying to cross the roads. The area can be so congested that cars have to stop in the middle of the road, forcing children to get out of cars and make their way through lines of traffic to access the school. In recent months, school buses have started to use Kooyong and Kerwood Streets, further adding to the congestion and danger. What will you do to overcome these problems, and how will you keep the school community and residents informed of your progress?
Thank you very much for your question. I'm actually aware of this issue, and it was alongside the congestion on Nanamuck Road as well. Small issues, I would encourage residents not just to put it on Facebook or blog it and say I've got an issue, because if you send a council a service request for small items, I know this, I'm finished. For small items, like a pothole or something, I wanted some trees pruned, nothing done for 2 months, and then I agitated, came back, and it got escalated, and then promptly got done the next day. Bigger issues, as you're suggesting, are going to need some planning, and this is the difference now with the ward system. You would write to me, or just a phone call if you like, and I will take your concern personally to the council and advocate for some action. And that's the beauty of this system. I cannot ignore your issue. I will take it personally, and if you can give me a copy of your question, and if I'm, by the grace of my constituents, lucky to be elected, I would gladly take on your issue, as along with all other issues. The way council does work though, and it's a bit of a clunky system, it can take a little bit of time, but I've noticed that the more you agitate and you keep knocking on my door, the things will eventually get done.
Thank you, Cam. The question time is over. We're fast running out of time, so we'll just do a quick wrap up from the candidates. We'll have Each candidate speak for no longer than 1 minute. You'll be given a bell warning at 45 seconds to let you know it's time to wrap up. It will start in the same order as we did with the Green Park candidate, Brian Basham.
Right, I wasn't prepared for a summation. A couple of things. I know there are two gentlemen that still have a number of questions they'd like to ask. I would suggest to you just feel free to snag us at the end of this. There is only so much time and energy and bandwidth that the organisers can give us. One of the things I want you to focus on is who do you think is best representing you? Who's been around the longest? Who spoke the nicest? Who put forward the argument? As I said, I've been around 6 years, actually 8 years, but 6 years frantically trying to get council to listen to us. So if elected, that's like a massive platform for me. There's a lot of talk about let's hit up the staties, let's hit up the feds for money. They're broke. Right? We need to start looking at how we spend our money first before we go and ask someone else for money. That's my view. Was that a bell? Look at that. Thank you, folks.
Dean O'Loughlin.
Let's try this again. Got a little statement here. Just if elected, I will endeavour to create positive change for the community. I won't look backwards. I don't think that's particularly helpful. I don't assume to know it all, but I know that I have great work ethic and I commitment to a potential role. And if you elect me in the Green Park, I won't let you down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next we'll have Horsham North, Todd Wilson firstly.
Just quickly, I feel everything I'd like to say I've said tonight, and if anybody has any further questions, you feel free to contact me and any candidate you have questions of. The better you know them, the more informed you are for your vote. So if you have any questions, please contact me. My phone number was 0481 813400. Thank you.
Thank you. Claudian.
So in wrapping up, as the only candidate from Horsham North with prior councillor experience, I bring stability and collaborative leadership to the new council in our community. My roots run deep here. I was born in Horsham North, educated here in our local schools, and like 6 members of my family, this is probably where I'll rest one day. I've heard some call us common in Horsham North. Well, they're right. We have common sense, we find common ground, we make decisions with common purpose, and all for the common good of Horsham. I don't delegate my responsibilities. I'm here on the ground serving you directly. My commitment to Horsham North isn't just talk, it's a lifetime of action and dedication. We in Horsham North have plenty in common and we're proud of it. It's what makes us strong, united and ready to face any challenge. With your support, I'll bring our common values and determination to the new council, ensuring Horsham North's voice is heard loud and clear. Together, let's show what Horsham North can do for our entire municipality. Vote for experience, dedication and a true local voice.
Thank
Vote
you,
one
Claudia.
for me, Claudia Haynell.
Kathy. Welcome.
Yes, I wasn't prepared for this either, but I am prepared for anyone to call me, to ring me on my number. I'm here to represent the Horsham North as well as Sunnyside, and if you have anything that you need to give me a call on, I'm prepared to listen and to talk with you about it. And my affiliation that I've only had with Horsham North Ward is that my mum and dad lived there and died there, and I have helped a lot of people in that area as well. And I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to help anyone. So just give me a call.
Thank you, Kathy. We may skip the Kalimna candidate because she has already been elected, so we probably don't need to hear a final pitch. Thank you, Rebecca. May Park, Cam McDonald.
Above all else, my reputation to me is one of the most important things that I would like to focus on. And when you've got an issue, I do love to help people, so that becomes personal to me. And whether there's issues involving either health or children's safety at the school bus drop-off, that is going to command fairly high priority. And I can't see how you can ignore that, to be honest, and I'm a bit surprised it's taken this long to fix it, but by hell we will fix it, because I'm running on a no-nonsense platform, and so don't be afraid to bring your issues to me, and I will personally look into them. And like I said, my reputation's on the line, so thank you.
Thank you, Cam. For Oatlands, we have Angela Munn.
I love this lifestyle we have in Horsham, and I've been very concerned about the entire performance and the behaviour of the current council, and essentially this is why I'm standing for election. I've been actively involved in advocating for the community over a decade. I'm aware of the huge amount of work that will be needed for this particular term of council and the councillors who are elected. My career has been generally focused towards helping people, solving issues and concerns along the way. Lived situations have helped to build resilience and self-reliance. I think my experiences, skills and attributes place me well to work to improve the community outcomes for the next term of council. I hope Oatlands community agrees, because it's all about them. It's their choice.
Next we'll have Dylan.
We live in a beautiful town with just about every aspect working in its favour, but we need a revitalisation in public representation and a council built of capability, appropriate experience and a passion to serve the community if we are to be all we can be. George Bernard Shaw said it best when he said, "Democracy is a device that ensures we shall be governed no better than we deserve." The people of Horsham deserve a local council comprised of a group of competent, capable, collaborative and compassionate councillors. I urge you only to recognise this and to vote for the candidate that offers it. It really is as simple as that. Vote 1, Dylan Hesselberg, Oatlands Ward. And if you don't live in Oatlands, spread the word to your mates who do, please.
Thank you, Dylan. David?
Thank you, everyone. I love just getting out and about in this community. If you do see me out and about, whether it is in Oatlands Ward or somewhere else in the municipality, hit me up for a question or a chat, because I love to have a chat, because I really, really love this community. And ask me about a family tree, because one of my relations was born here in 1884, and I've got several other relations within my family tree that were either born here or died here. And I've also may have some unknown cousins out there. So, and I'd just like to thank everyone for tonight. Well done, Lauren and her team. Thanks.
Finally, we have Pine Lake. Michael, would you like to come up?
To the voters in Pine Lake Ward, I've delivered mail to most of you at some time or other. If you don't know me personally, ask your friends and neighbours what they think I'd be like as a councillor. I think I'd be bloody good. Any councillor works for the whole municipality and they have to be held accountable. Stick it to them. Get in their ear. Tell them what you want. If you run into me down the street, which probably will happen, grab me and say, look, what are you going to do about this? This is a problem. Get in their ear. Advocate for yourself so that we can advocate for you. There is still money in the government. They don't want you to know. And we've got to get our fair share of it. So vote for me.
Thank you, Michael. Ian, would you like to come up next?
Thanks, Lauren. Look, I'm excited for the next term of council because we'll have new leadership, which is a great start. We'll have to get a new CEO, and it's a major job for council. And And council really needs to improve with its community expectation of our engagement. I think that's where we've failed fairly badly at times. And it's so important that we reinstate the community committees, as in councils used to be on community committees, not necessarily acting, but just ex officio, so we know directly what the community is saying. This council term, we were hunted off them by a majority of the councillors in a vote. We need to get back in the community again so we can listen to the issues in our community and then bring them directly to the council with some understanding. George Washington once said that democracy is like two wolves and a lamb voting what's for dinner. Well, at times I felt like I've been a lamb because being in the minority a lot of the time, had to make a strong stance against the majority. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Lastly, Toby, would you like to?
I don't come into this election with any agendas or preconceptions. Listening to you all today, you're talking about projects that are on the go or projects that may be in the future. There's already so many ideas out there in the community. These projects have a lot of moving parts. There's a lot to them. You need to make sure they're done and they're done right. Timelines are quite often a point of frustration, but I feel like I have the skills and experience to get these projects working, to get your ideas and to make them happen, and to make them happen properly and to make them great. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, candidates, and thank you, everyone else. Sorry we've run a little bit over time. I'll just hand it over to Anthony Thompson.
Thank you very kindly, Lauren. A big round of applause for Lauren to keeping you all in line this evening. Keep the applause going, please, for our candidates in the 2024 local government election, and thank you for being available for us this evening. We really appreciate it. And to you here present and to you streaming online, on behalf of 3WM, MIXX FM, Ace Radio and the Weekly Advertiser, thanks so much for being part of the 2024 Horsham Local Government Election Forum here at the Coglan Park Community Centre. For those here in person, feel free to stick around, have a cuppa and a chat with us as we wrap up the evening. Thanks again.